Hello, internets. You are in the right place because you are watching the Conductor Roundtable for StartupBus Highway Hackathon on Coin. Joining me today is Brandon, Elia, Fallon, Greg, Igor, and Mitch. And first of all, we're going to take a short introduction to find out your relationship with StartupBus and what you do in business. So should we kick off this end?
Sure. I started in StartupBus in 2011. In 2012, I was a conductor. And in 2013, I was on the alumni bus. And I do SEO. That's my expertise.
OK, and what's your relationship with StartupBus?
Pure love. I'm a volunteer. I've known Ilya for a couple of years at this point. He's been a friend, and he's been a mentor. Everybody here is just somebody I know personally, and because of those relationships, I feel like StartupBus is almost like a second home.
Greg.
I was on the Florida bus in 2011. I was the conductor of the Tampa/Florida bus 2012, and I was on the alumni bus 2013.
And what do you do in life, in business?
I run a software development company in Tampa, Florida.
Very good. Mitch.
I am the global director of StartupBus, and my relationship with StartupBus began in 2011, riding with Greg. I was the conductor of the Stanford bus in 2012.
Nice stuff. Elia.
So I am the founder of StartupBus, and I was the first conductor on the first bus. And I haven't really been on a bus since, but we've had about 24 buses run in America. And my relationship with StartupBus is, I guess I pay the bills, and I deal with all the problems, and smile when everything hopefully works out. And apart from StartupBus, I also work in StartupHouse, which is this building, which is a 11,000 square foot facility for entrepreneurs where they can work from and live from.
I've seen you build this thing almost from scratch. And how many people have come through StartupBus now?
I think it's about 700 people.
Right.
Yeah. Like when you say the word work, that's very appropriate because it is work. It's like full-time work. But almost everyone involved in StartupBus, like everyone here, had been volunteers. And everyone here had full-time jobs, including myself when we organized StartupBus. And we had a full-time job running StartupBus. So in terms of people like that, there's always been a core team of maybe 10 to 20 people. We have up to 50 people working on StartupBus at the one time. Europe, which is about to happen, has a core team of 25 people.
Tough work.
Yeah.
Fallon.
My relationship with StartupBus started in 2012 when I participated on the Silicon Valley bus. Our team ended up actually winning the competition, and then I came back in 2013 to be a conductor for the Silicon Valley/West Coast bus. So my relationship with StartupBus in general is very much one of love, but also sometimes hate. So. Yeah.
Raise your hand if that applies, by the way.
So I was on the inaugural bus in 2010, and there were 25 of us, and 6 of us came back and became conductors the next year. I'm co-founder of a startup called Instacart, and that's kind of taken over all my time. So I'm just more of a supporter.
You just raised $8.5 million.
Yeah, we just partnered with Sequoia Capital and raised $8.5 million Series A.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So let's just break this down a minute. There's a lot of viewers out there watching, thinking, hold on a minute, isn't starting a company really, really difficult? Why are these stupid people trying to start a company on a bus? So why is that? Let's explain it to people that don't know what StartupBus, break it down.
I don't think that StartupBus is about starting a company on the bus. I agree. I think that's a great idea. I think it's a wonderful thing to want to start a business on the bus, but at the end of the day, it's something about much more than that. It's a way to meet new, interesting people, and it's a way to kind of give people who have possibly been just working in a cubicle all day for the last 5 or 6 years an opportunity to get out there and see that there is another way to live your life. There's this kind of much more intense, much more exciting way to go and do it. And the StartupBus is like a distillation of that process.
Well, can we have some examples? I mean, what is the other way to live your life?
This is actually a perfect example for me. So I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur and always wanted to start my own company, and just never started it. And then I went on StartupBus, and here I am with these other people, and someone had just sold his company and flew in like the night after to go on StartupBus, and everyone was there doing it. It was impossible to not feel that spark and to not just want to go out and start something yourself immediately. I met Ilya. Ilya introduced me to Naval Ravikant, from AngelList, and so I was the first engineer at AngelList. I didn't go start my own thing immediately, but that seed was there. I left to start my own company. I left AngelList, and then instead I worked on StartupBus for a month, solid, and then I did it after that. But just that environment, it's like a year's worth of bonding in 3 days. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. Like, I'm still friends with all those people on the initial bus. And I'm still, my co-founder I met the second year when I was conducting the Silicon Valley bus. To me, StartupBus is not about starting a company. You know, a lot of people go there, they want to start a company on that first, you know, in that 3 days. It's really difficult to do that. But it's about an alumni network. So, you know, I've got people all over the country that I can call up if I need help. And that's what it's about.
And that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, StartupBus is about people, not about startups and not about companies. It's not about launching something on the bus that actually stands the test of time. StartupBus has always kind of been a rite of entrance into the alumni community that Brandon's talking about. To get into the alumni community, you have to ride a bus. And that's really what it's been about, is finding and identifying talented people who have the passion and have the drive to do something as crazy as jumping on a bus with 30 complete strangers and having this idea that you're going to build a company by the time you hit someplace in the middle of Texas, and it's all going to work out. And the people that want to do that are the kind of people that we want in the alumni community, because they're the kind of people who do awesome things. A lot of the success stories that have come out of StartupBus have been like Brandon and Max. You know, that's not a company they started on the bus, but they met on the bus. And that's where it all began, and that's kind of, that's exactly what we want to do, is to make the introductions between these people who are willing to do these kind of things and make that a reality for them.
The idea of Conductor came about from Trilogy. So Trilogy was this software company that during the dot-com days actually rivaled Microsoft in terms of their hiring practices. And my old boss, the CEO of Vast, which is the startup that brought me to America from Australia, when I did the first StartupBus, he was saying to me, in front of me to other people, that I'm building a new Trilogy university. So I asked him what he meant by that. And when he was at Trilogy, which grew to a 10,000 person startup, what they did is they would pick the best talent from around the country, and then they would go through a 3-month class. And what the students worked on were innovative projects, whatever they wanted that would then benefit the Trilogy business or beyond that. And what happened is Trilogy grew to like a 10,000 person alumni network. This alumni network is all over the technology industry. That people that run Google, people that have started startups like, you know, TripIt, which I use pretty much every day. It's one of 10 apps I use all the time. And so what John said to me is like, you're like building the new Trilogy University. You can build this alumni network where this community permeates all of the industry. And he said to me, it's really important that you pick your best people to run each new class. And that's where the idea of Conductor came from. Because every conductor is an alumni. And what they do is, we've got this broad network, but they connect the network that they started on with the new network that they're kind of mothering, which is, to use Fallon's term. That's what she felt like she did this year. And it creates a connection of like these super nodes within the network. But everyone here, they are all rock stars. And the reason they were picked is because they were the best that stood out in my eyes, and with the team that we were selecting them.
So let's talk about what it takes to be a conductor. Fallon, you said that you were mothering the people on the bus. So what kind of skills do you have to become a good conductor?
Well, so my mothering reference just really had to do with the fact that while I picked the people to be on the bus, in the end, I ended up being more of the facilitator and helping make sure that the environment was a positive environment where the bonding was happening. And they ended up becoming so enamored with each other that they'd only come to me when they needed things. And so I ended up becoming like the mother, like, Mommy, I'm hungry, can we stop for food? Mommy, I need to go to the bathroom, can we stop? And so in that sense, it was very satisfying to see that, you know, the people that I curated to come on the bus ended up, you know, bonding so well. But it was also kind of depressing because I was very lonely. Nobody wanted to hang out with me.
Well, talking of you know, being enamored and people, you know, loving each other on the bus, there have been a few relationships that have come out of StartupBus. So how many marriages, babies have come out of StartupBus? Do we know?
I'm not
Don't know how many babies.
Yeah.
Or intentionally.
Definitely relationships.
There's been a lot of relationships.
Paternity tests.
We've proactively tried to get a lot more women involved because it's a problem in the industry that there's not enough women engaged in tech. And what's actually happened as an externality of that is a lot more flings.
That's something that's been very important to StartupBus from the start, has been to get women involved and get women involved in leadership as well. In addition to Fallon, we had Susie Steiner on the Tampa bus. We have Darina, who has, for years has been, very influential director in the organization. There's a big priority around women in technology, and we want to make sure that StartupBus supports that 110%.
Are you supporting women in technology or everyone getting laid on the bus?
Oh, absolutely not, because that actually kind of leads to problems. Like, I don't know, like that's the big difference between StartupBus and the real world, perhaps. I don't know.
I mean, if you're on a bus with a bunch of dudes, it gets really stinky. So it's more about that balance.
Being on the bus, there's really not a whole lot that's sexy about it.
There is nothing as unsexy as sleeping in a small cramped hotel room with 5 other computer programmers who snore in unison. This beautiful concert of just kind of snoring in exhaustion for about 3 or 4 hours, and then you have to go back.
But do you think there's something about the intensity of being in this confined space with smelly men that somehow forges better relationships?
I mean, it's totally proven fact that you look up to people, and when you find someone who is extremely smart, working hard, and becomes a role model, they also become sexy as an extension of that. So I think that there's no better place for a smart, hardworking nerd to get laid than on StartupBus, to be perfectly honest.
Oh my God. I think in general, the constraints that are put, with StartupBus, with the competition, are on purpose supposed to push you beyond your comfort zone, which is actually very realistic depiction of what it is to actually run a company and be an entrepreneur. Sure. You're running on very little sleep. You're forced to, be in very close to people you don't necessarily know that well, but you have to work with. You have to try and get traction on an idea that you conceive like within, 48, 72 hours. There's something about that sort of trauma, because it really is trauma, that actually helps you grow and bond with the people around you. Because at the end of it, when you look back, you're like, I don't know what the hell I just put myself through, but like, I just learned a lot about myself, and I just bonded with the people that I went through this with. In the real world, right? If there's a large amount of stress and you're still able to come through it with another person, you have that bond that's formed immediately. It's kind of like what they do in the military or any kind of situation. We're sleep deprived, we're motion sick, we're drunk half the time as well, and we're under a massive amount of pressure. And when somebody you've never met, comes through for you in that situation, you have this like instant and really long-lasting bond that's formed, and that's really powerful. So, what Brandon was saying about like he wants to call up somebody in Chicago or New York, and they can hang out with him and help him out. They have literally given me apartments to stay in. These are people I've met like for a week. And that's how close the bond is. I mean,
StartupBus by design has always been about the network. I said on the first bus, and I think there's even a video on YouTube that says, like, you're not going to build a real startup here. And if you do, like, good on you, but this is not what the point of this is. And what's actually surprised me is that as we've done StartupBus and advanced, like, the program, it's almost like a curricula that we do. Like, I don't believe entrepreneurship can be taught, but it can be learned. And with StartupBus, we create an environment where people just make decisions that are the right decisions because the constraints that we put on them force them to think a certain way.
Okay, I just want to take a step back because I'm sure there's a lot of people sitting on YouTube watching this video and they still don't understand what StartupBus is. So a group of aliens came to Earth, they saw people getting drunk together on a bus trying to build shit. How would you explain it to a bunch of aliens? What's the easiest way of explaining StartupBus? Brandon, let's start with you.
You get a bunch of people on a bus, and then you have them all pitch their ideas, and then they try to get other people to join them in the teams form, and then they try to build the idea that they pitched on a bus with very limited constraints, no internet, and they try to do it within 3 days.
Okay, and are we talking about people building the next Facebook here, the next Google? I mean, what type of companies get built?
There's actually been some really, really good ideas that have come off the bus. I mean, I know that Elia's favorite is a group called TripMedi.
Which is like medical tourism.
Yeah, so, fantastic idea. And I mean, obviously, healthcare is a huge issue, like especially right now. I mean, right now, timeliness is everything.
So the idea behind that was that this lady on the Florida bus that year actually had to get surgery, and it was going to cost $40,000. And she went to Bulgaria and got it for $2,000. So TripMedi helped you find solutions like flights, hotels, and doctors, and they're all rated. And what the TripMedi team did is not only have the idea, and Igor, you're on that team.
You probably didn't know that there are Western standards in terms of medical practice that are being practiced in other parts of the world. And the reason why that's the case is because it's actually economically feasible to fly Western doctors over to, like, let's say Thailand, and to build the top-class medical facility that does everything the same way that you would expect in the US, and to, in addition to that, also layer on a level of service that you would not expect from a non-US country in terms of, like, pickup service and hotel accommodations and everything else. So this actually exists. It's actually just not, like, risen to the awareness of the American population. And the reason why it exists is because, like Ilya said, something that costs $40,000 or $80,000 in the US, most of the cost comes from insurance and legal reasons, not because it actually costs that much to fulfill that service. You can actually get that service today. You just needed, like, that marketing layer. TripMedi was connecting people with those abilities to get difficult surgeries done for very little money.
So in the TripMedi case, there was a bunch of strangers on a bus. This guy pitched the idea. The team formed around that idea after like 6 hours of negotiations. They researched the hell out of the market. Like Igor, it's been 2 years on and he still knows it better than most people and he can talk for an hour on it. And they not only knew the idea back to front, but they built a product that was functional. When they got off the bus and they pitched in front of investors, it was a demo that actually worked.
So it's not just a load of people getting drunk on a bus. There is a business side to it.
Right, absolutely.
It is an absolute crap ton of fun to be on a bus. I mean, it is the most fun that you're gonna have, especially if being an entrepreneur or starting your own thing is really something that appeals to you. It's gonna be the most fun that you're ever gonna have. Now, on the flip side of that, we often refer to a condition that we've named post-bus traumatic stress disorder, in which it kind of vaguely resembles Stockholm Syndrome.
Right.
And everyone sitting around here now is like completely still enamored with myself included, still enamored with StartupBus. And we've been through this hell more than once, and we still keep coming back for more.
Right.
So there's obviously something
I like to call it a transformational experience. You step on that bus.
You call it a transformational experience. Some people call it emotional abuse, tomato, tomato.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.